Hello fellow simmers, it's Derek from FS Pro here with a video of my first comical almost attempt at trying to land the PMDG 737 NGX at Innsbruck on the, I'm going to call it the notorious 08 approach. I'm following tutorial 2 that comes with the PMDG 737 NGX, which incidentally is excellent. More on that later. But I thought you might like to see, just for a bit of fun, what my first attempt at following the tutorial and doing the landing was actually like. So let me see if I can just fire or set everything up here. I think we're possibly good to go. Alright, so here we are. You see me on the approach now. I am heading toward the Absam NDB, I think this is here, that you can see. It's about 5 miles ahead. Ahead of us here, you can see Innsbruck. And we're heading down toward it, down the valley. And what we're going to do is approach it from the other end to land on runway 08. Now that's going to require us to fly down the valley, hang a left over here, and fly effectively along what looks like a ledge. That's exactly what it looks like. And then before we hit these big lumpy things at the end, we're going to hang a right, and while we're doing this right hand turn, we're going to be descending and then hopefully lining up so we can land on runway 08. Yeah, the tutorial lays it all out for you, nice, plain and straightforward. The reality is, well, let's just say it's a bit challenging. My first attempt here, I got us down on the ground, but I would not like to have been a passenger on this aircraft, I tell you. Okay, so having reached Absam, we are taking the 230 radial, which I can't show you just now. I've popped down into the MCDU. I need to set up the approach. Bear with me while I do this, and then we'll go back. I'm just entering in our new runway approach now, because we'd set up as if we were going to land on runway 26, and now we're changing it at the last minute to land on runway 08. I'll set the intercept course now to 079, which will give us a line, a magenta line that runs on to infinity along the course of the runway, which will make it easy for us to line up for our approach. I say easy, I should say easier. Let's see how we do. I'll put in the level change so I can now set the speed. I'm going to dial it back to 140, which is the approach speed that I'll be wanting, and we're good to go. Okay, so down on the navigation display we're now approaching the INN NDB, which you can see over here. Once we get to there, we're going to take the 264 radial from that, which will take us along the ledge line. Notice just how close we are to these lumpy bits. The green bits are kind of okay, the amber bits slightly dodgy, the red bits you really don't want to be there. You'll get far more intimate with rock faces than you ever want to be in an aircraft. Now throughout this approach, the tutorial does tell you, you will get quite a few warnings about the terrain, and you need to just fly, and as long as you're flying along the instructions you'll be okay. I can imagine that this is somewhat disconcerting though, for anybody who does it for real. You can see we've now got a solid colour area here, and there was the warning that goes along with it, which is indicative of the fact that it's far more serious than the hatched colour terrain that we can see depicted on the navigation display. Okay, quick note on the HGS that you can see here. Heads up display, we call it a military aircraft. Apparently it's HGS in the PMDG 737. What you can see here is our radar, altimeter, altitude. So I'm currently 750 feet above the ground, directly below the aircraft. Over here is my approach speed, 140. Here is the speed I'm currently flying at, and over here is my current barometric altitude. So those are the important things to keep an eye on as we start the approach shortly. You can see here also I've got the autopilot on, it's holding our altitude. I've got Command A activated. I'm using heading cell and also the speed. In a minute I'll do something crazy, taking all of those things off as I then try to hand fly the approach. ROG fully configured for the landing, off with the autopilot, off with the auto throttle, quiet the sounders, and what I should be doing is, as I approach this 3.5 marker, this circle here, is start my turn to the right. That makes sure I'm clear of those big lumpy mountains in front of me. I'm setting the go around altitude should I need to do that. But as you can see, I'm getting perilously far beyond my 3.5 miles, so I'm starting this turn a bit late. Currently 650 feet above the ground, directly below the aircraft. Unfortunately, as I start the turn, some of this display starts to disappear off the screen. We might need to refer to the PFD. So you can see at the moment 450 feet above the ground, and in a moment, as I'm doing this descending turn in completely the wrong place incidentally, I should clear the ledge first. There it goes. I got below 250 feet and get the whoop whoop, which I guess is the aircraft's way of saying you're really, really low. Get yourself sorted. Okay, we're just coming to the edge of the ledge here. It's about now that I should be starting my descent, and now I'm trying to line up with this magenta line to get me lined up on the runway, which is just there. So my lining up is not too bad, although looking at the PAPI again, they're all red. I'm way too low at this point, so I'm having to use engine power to try and drag me into the runway, as opposed to being on the somewhat steep descent path I should be on to be able to get a landing. So I'm holding my speed okay. That's about the only good thing I can say for this approach at the moment. My vertical speed, that's okay as well. 350, 400, that's reasonable. But well, let's just see how it goes. You'll see for yourself what happens next. Trying desperately to line up, and if I had realised before just how important this donut is here, I would have used it a bit more to effect a better approach. But nevertheless, here we come. And I'm realising now that actually I should have been a bit lower at this stage, so I'm dumping speed so I can start to descend, which is fine. Suddenly I realise I'm descending way too fast. I need to flare. I flare much too early, which reduces the vertical speed. That's okay, but now I realise I'm floating. I've got to get in touch with the runway, otherwise I'll never be able to brake. And as you can see, bang, I hit the ground at about 450. And that's not a good number to suffer from when you hit the ground. We're down, but as I said to you at the outset, I would not like to have been a passenger on this flight. So that was my first attempt at doing the landing for Tutorial 2 for the PMDG 737 NGX. And this is by way, I suppose, of an intro for you for a series of videos that I'll be creating on this this wonderful sim aircraft. My first videos will take us through the two tutorials. Number one, the nice, simple, straightforward tutorial, and number two, which is culminating in the landing here at Innsbruck. So join me, won't you? And enjoy the experience of the tutorials with the PMDG 737 NGX. If you're not already a subscriber, please consider subscribing so you'll get notified just as soon as I create the next video in this series. As ever, thanks very much for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, a like, share or subscribe goes an awful long way. Thanks for watching.